Hey everybody, I'm back. My name is Alicia. You're watching Alicia's Life, and I'm here to review The Real Housewives of New York City, Season 9, Episode 5. Let's get started. So this is the highly anticipated election episode, and to be honest, it was a little anticlimactic for me. But let's get into the details. We'll get to that. We start the episode with Carol and her mom. This is, I guess, the beginning of the episode is Carol focused because she's the most invested in this election compared to all the other ladies, and they were talk about the election. So Carol's mother is on the scene, and they've decided to go canvassing in Pennsylvania because it's a big swing state. So Carol's mom is hilarious. She's just very down to earth, and she does not miss an opportunity to bust Carol's chops. Like, she keeps Carol humble. She's a typical mom, backseat driving. I mean, she was really funny. So Carol says that she and her mother are more like siblings than mother and daughter, that her mother had her when she was 18. And I started to think, I think the age difference between Carol and Adam is greater than the difference between her and her mom. So that's interesting. Moving on to Ramona, we see that she's getting ready for her 60th birthday party, and she goes to get a laser treatment because she said she wants to look good and feel good. And I started to think, I remember a few seasons back, she was priding herself on not having any plastic surgery, that she was really into health and working out and doing everything, the natural way. And she even had her line of True Renewal. So I'm really wondering, is she still selling True Renewal? Or is she saying that True Renewal works up to a point and then you have to get into plastic surgery? I'm curious to know what her sales pitch is now. So we go back to Carol's mom and her for a minute. And I was interested to find out that Carol's mother has never met Adam. And I was like, wow, haven't they been together for like 20 years? But Carol says that her parents don't meet her boyfriends. And I guess that's really her thing, right? I mean, she's all about the temporary relationships, but I was kind of surprised. Like, even if you aren't serious, you'd think they would still be introduced, but I don't know. What'd you guys think of that? So we catch up with Sonia, and she's out on a date, and she looks great, and she's out with Rocco. And I guess I thought because they introduced Frenchie last episode that we were going to see her on her date with Frenchie, but we didn't. So anyway, so she says that, she's known Rocco forever, and they were matched up last season on a blind date. Rocco mentions that every time he goes to Sonia's house, there's all these people there. He's like, who are these people? How many people live in your house? And I can wonder, are those the interns? Like, is that who we sing every single time? But she brings up Tinsley. She's like, oh, well, Tinsley sang with me. But I'm curious, like, when last episode Tinsley said she was staying in Sonia's daughter's room, I was wondering, why isn't she staying on that top room? Maybe Sonia's letting that out to somebody else. Like, we know Sonia has been in some financial straits, so maybe she has boarders in addition to her intern. So maybe that's who Rocco's talking about. So we finally get to Carol's election party. And y'all, like I said in the beginning, it was anticlimactic. She had it at this really nice place, like a bar type lounge restaurant thing. And I guess I thought it'd be at her house for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, it was very nice. And almost nobody came, though. I mean, almost nobody was at this party. And I was actually kind of surprised by that. But maybe no one was into this election. I'm not really sure. But we get to see Heather Yummy from, a couple seasons back. And she makes an appearance because they're still friends. And Dorinda's there. Dorinda brought her a cute little shirt that said a woman's place is in the White House. Bethany, she meets up with some of her own girlfriends, which I don't know if they were really her girlfriends. But at any rate, Bethany was saying that these people were like-minded with Carol. They were going to vote for who Carol was voting for. So it made me think, well, Bethany, did you vote for Trump like Ramona did? I don't know. Kind of interesting, huh? Because Bethany was on Celebrity Apprentice, so interesting. So overall, I guess I thought there'd be more to this whole party than there was, because we already knew Trump won, right? But they made such a big deal about Carol and, her feelings about it and wanting Hillary to win and being so sure, which many people were sure. But I guess in the end, maybe because we already knew Trump won, they did the build up. They had like the time clock of what, the different times of the night and which states he was winning and all of that. And, Carol said she had anxiety and everything. And by 11, I guess it was even before 11, before they even called the election, Heather Yummy, she just decided to leave. She couldn't take it anymore. Then Dorinda left, and they were like, look, whatever, I'm going home. Hopefully tomorrow I'll wake up, it's a bad dream. And then that was pretty much it. I mean, there was really nothing. No, it was kind of a letdown, I think. I guess I thought there'd be more of an emotional response or from Carol or everybody, but it was really kind of muted. So, the next day, they play really sad music, y'all, and we see Carol in her apartment, and she's calling her mother, and she's really sad, and she's crying, and and she's talking to her mom about it. And I thought that was pretty touching, like, yeah, you call your mom when you're depressed. And so they talk about it. Her mom's super practical about it, and it made me wonder, like, is her mom a therapist? Because she really treats Carol. I mean, yeah, I know that Carol's an adult now, but the way they were talking about how Carol grew up, it seems like she's always treated her that way. Kind of like if you guys were into the Big Bang Theory, how Leonard's mother always treated him. Kind of like a little, I don't know. Anyway, so it was that was a touching scene, but not what I expected to see from this episode. By the end of the episode, I completely forgot this even took place. Like, I was so into the rest of it that I was like, was that the same episode? Like, it was so nothing. They even moved it to the very beginning of the episode, so you already know it wasn't that big of a deal, even to the producers. They tried their hardest to make it into something, but they couldn't. So moving on. We see Carol and Ramona going shopping. So even after all the kerfuffle of her being uninvited, I wonder how the party would have been if Ramona had been there. That actually might have been more interesting, But anyway, they go shopping, and Carol kind of let slip that Ramona's having a surprise party. They were just talking. Ramona says, hey, I'm having this birthday party, and they're there to get dresses. And Carol says, oh, I'm so glad you brought it up because I was nervous, thought it was a surprise. And I was like, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that? Even if you thought it was a surprise, why would you tell the person that you think they're having a surprise party? And at the election party, I think it was the night before, she had just talked to Dorinda, and Dorinda said it was a surprise party, and she explained what was going on, even to Bethany. So it was just very bizarre how Carol almost let that slip. I don't understand what happened there. But she played it off, and it was pretty badly played off, and surprisingly, Ramona didn't press her, because Ramona says she's having at this party, and then Carol goes, oh, I'm glad you told me because I thought it was going to be a surprise. And Ramona goes, so I'm having a surprise party too? And she goes, what? And Ramona goes, what? And then she goes, oh, no, nothing. And Ramona goes, okay, and went on with whatever she was saying. And I'm like, really? That easy? I would have been like, wait a minute, girl, spill it. Surprise party? What are you talking about? But she didn't press it. She didn't even go in. So very weird. Carol says, that's because Ramona doesn't listen to anyone. Maybe she needs hearing aids. Maybe she does. So we move on to the finale of this episode. It's Ramona's surprise party, and it's her 60th, and Ramona has double booked. She is the dating fool of New York City, so she's always on dates, and this night is no exception. It's a Monday night, so she said, I'm going to go and meet Dorinda's little friend Heather, and then I'm going to go on to my date. So for some reason, she says Dorinda's late coming to pick her up, to take her to meet her friend, and she has to go all the way across town to meet this friend, and then all the way back town, to her side or wherever to meet her date. So she decides to quit waiting, and she gets her own cab. And she did not even tell Dorinda. Like, I would have been so mad if I was Dorinda. It's one thing to say, look, you know what? Hey, I'm tired of waiting, but you call the person who's coming all the way to pick you up. Like, she didn't even communicate with Ramona at all. It seemed like Dorinda found out either she saw Ramona get into the cab, or maybe a producer called her and said, hey, the bird is flown the nest, like some code. It was just very bizarre, right? Why wouldn't you call your friend who you know is on their way? And if they're running late, why not say, hey, where are you? I have a date later. But maybe that's just Ramona. So she takes off. She almost spoils the whole thing. So Ramona calls Carol and says, hey, Carol, Ramona's not here. She's on her way somewhere. She might be there. So get the guests ready just in case, right? Carol doesn't do that. She walks around casually. Yeah, Ramona's lost. Dorinda lost Ramona. We don't know where she is. I was like, didn't she say get the people ready? So I even had a little bit of anxiety because they started showing people arrive. They showed Sonia and Tinsley coming. They had them kind of scurrying through the streets like Ramona was right on their tail, and maybe she was. They had Luann arrive, and every time that elevator door opened, I kept thinking, Ramona's going to be here. Y'all aren't ready. So Dorinda gets there first before Ramona, which is interesting because I'm like, if Ramona left, we don't really know where Dorinda was when she found out that Ramona was gone. So it seemed like Dorinda was waiting at the apartment and Ramona left first before she got there. So I just knew that Ramona was going to get there before Dorinda, but Dorinda got there first. So I think there was some producer interference there. Maybe Ramona decided to skip the party because she said, it doesn't make sense to go all the way over here for 15 minutes and then come all the way back and go on my date. So maybe she decided to skip the party, but maybe a producer said, look, you better get there because you signed a contract to film X number of times and you're supposed to be there tonight. So maybe they made her go because when she finally arrived, she was surprised, and that was a payoff. That was a bigger payoff than anything else that happened this night. And she said, Dorinda, got mad at Dorinda. what if I'd missed my own party? I'm thinking it would have been your fault because we had a plan and you decided to go rogue and you didn't even communicate with anybody about it. So if you missed out on this fabulous party, it would have been all your fault. And the party looked great. It looked so nice. I forgot where it was, but it looked gorgeous. Gorgeous. And I mean, Ramona was so shocked. She fell on the ground. She was crying and all her friends were there. And so I guess she was caught up in the moment because the next thing we see, her phone is ringing and her date is calling her, I guess asking where she is. And she says, oh, I'm at my surprise party. And so I guess they said he can come too. So he shows up and he's, of course, mic'd and everything. And he's so weird. Maybe he was nervous to be on camera because when I first saw it, I thought he looks like a schmuck. Like, who is this guy? Like, is she just dating anybody who asks her out? Like, he was more casual, like business casually dressed, and she was all fancy and formal for like this affair, right? So anyway, he tries to talk to her, and I guess he was nervous thinking back on it now because he kept drinking it through his straw and everything and trying to talk to her, and she just like said, just be cool, like, you know. And then she totally turns her back on him and she's talking to her friends or whatever. And I guess he left because we saw him like hugging the wall going somewhere. We never saw him again. Luann is there. She says she has to go meet Tom. So she leaves too. And she says there's such a thing as an Irish goodbye where you just disappear from a party. And I'm thinking, that sounds a little controversial. Irish goodbye? Like, I don't know. I think I gotta look that up and see what the history of that saying is because it might need to be discontinued. But anyway, y'all, the party looked great. Sonia and Ramona go out on the balcony. Ramona's very upset because she finds out that Bethany did not come to the party. She was invited, but she chose not to come. So she's upset, saying, oh, Bethany's holding a grudge and she's this and that. So she goes up there and she tells Sonia about it. And they're both wasted. And so they're both like, you know, it's crazy. So Sonia clearly understands Bethany's point of view because Ramona's trying to spin it and saying, look, you know, I was looking out for Bethany. I cared about her life. I should be able to talk about her. And so Sonia tries to say, look, you brought up her daughter. Do you feel close enough to Bethany to talk about her daughter? And she says, it's not about her daughter. It's about her life. And I thought, okay, so Ramona is either deliberately missing the point or she's just really trying to ignore it because she wants to be right. Because it's very clear that Bethany is upset because she brought her daughter into the conversation, was trying to shame her by using her daughter. So this will be a reunion sticking point, I'm sure. And I'm sure Ramona's going to be like all contrite. Oh, yeah, right, Bethany. I'm sorry. I didn't understand, but now I get it now. You know. But anyway, it was just crazy. So I guess I'm interested to see what happens next. So that was the end of this week's episode. And then we see the previews for next week. And sadly, I can't remember a thing about what happens next week. It didn't look altogether that exciting, but we will see what happens. So, you guys, did you watch the episode? Let me know in the comments below what you thought. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments. And thanks again for watching. And please remember to subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time. Bye!